that would have been the level, yo. But could I say it's for certain people? No, because if you're willing to learn, you'll do well in university. Just know that university is a learning curve. University is about learning. You learn everything. It can teach you life skills as well as education as well. So I won't go too deep into my
let's go deep.
Yeah.
What do you need taught you? Tell us now. Tell us a few lessons you
that you don't need to be super smart to finish with a good grade, yo. Yeah. Honestly, if people tell you that you need to be smart to get into university, you need. You know what? I use my mi padre as an example. I feel like I use a majority of African. Because I don't know, and I feel Asian parents are probably like that. Middle Eastern parents are probably like that.
Sorry to interject. I hear if you remove A from Asian, you have sin. So if you don't come home with an A, you are coming home with sin. Remove Asian, A from Asian. What does it give you?
You know what?
Both A's.
I feel like
both A's. Yeah.
It's a mentality of. I won't talk too deep into it until I get a question into that. Because if I get questions on it, I'll answer but before they cancel me. So, what my uni experience? You don't need to be smart to do well in university, honestly. Because you're there to learn, isn't it? Everyone's there to learn. Make sure you do your work on time. That is the biggest thing, yo. You have all this time in the world. You even think you're on paradise, especially if you're coming away from home, you're not living at home anymore. You think, I have all the time in the world. I'm even on par with billionaires because billionaires are sitting down not doing anything, so you must sit down and do nothing. Honestly, by the time exams, coursework start to catch up, it's time to put work in. You think that you have no time when you could have spent all that time you were lazying around to do work. I still struggle in my masters to do that now because sometimes you think you have all the time in the world. Yeah. Make sure you do your work on time. Make sure if you're depressed, because depression is a big thing in this uni, trust me. If you're depressed, make sure you talk to somebody about it, honestly, because if you talk, even talking to your tutors, if your tutor doesn't want to do anything, find someone else to talk to. Talking to someone is a big thing because I know with depression, you leave it. Depression starts by, for me, you haven't washed your dishes. The food that you ate, you just left it on the side.
Messy.
And by the time you will be a dustbin. That's honestly, just when that starts to happen, just recognize that as okay, you might be in a low mood.
Yeah.
And honestly, try your best to keep your room clean. Try talking to someone. Always try talking to someone, even if it's your boys. Honestly, your boys are the best people to talk to. You might honestly feel like your boys will not take you seriously, but on the level, your boys will honestly listen to you. Trust me. Don't think it's a pride thing and all of that. You will never have depression. You will suffer depression in university, honestly. Yeah. It's a big thing, man. It's a big, big thing. Cooking. Make sure you learn, if you are African, Asian, so you learn cooking from your parents. Like,
I'm joking.
I'm joking. If you find a uni wife, congratulations, you're doing well. You're doing well, my brother. If you find a uni husband, congratulations, life is settled.
I was not even clean up.
D, why are you looking at me like that? But yeah, learn how to cook, man. Because by the time you finish spending money on fast food and you become broke, like, you'll be replacing your milk with tap water.
Yeah.
You put tap water for cereal.
What kind of milk?
What milk should you buy?
Not cow milk, because we come from people.
Well,
I'll just put that out there.
Apparently they said something like you shouldn't buy cow milk. Honestly.
did all the
No,
hear
you
what he
shouldn't.
said?
What's the reason?
Everyone overlooked what he said.
Yeah, they didn't hit them. They didn't hit them.
What kind of milk are you drinking then? If you're human, what kind of milk?
But then it's like, don't you understand? We should be drinking human milk because we are humans. But society is like, no, we should drink cow milk because that makes sense.
Okay. Well,
It's just a thought, if you get my.
but breast milk actually has a lot of benefits apparently.
Yeah, it does.
And if for example, Nana, you were shaking your head.
No, I was shaking. I was just shaking my head, fam. I was just laughing.
Think about it like this: cow drink cow milk because it nutritionally benefits them, cows, whilst human babies drink human breast milk. Why? Because apparently it's good for their growth and blah blah blah. And
Also, research shows that when mammals are adults, they don't need milk. But human beings are the only mammals who still crave milk after maturity has come, which I believe is a psychological thing. But because society doesn't ask questions, we are bound to the sins of our forefathers.
But as a medic, I'll say, oh shit. As a medic, I'll say, don't take milk out of your diet unless you want rickets and you want your bones to start bending. And
The substitute for milk.
Yeah, but they say, okay, the substitute for milk will be standing outside in the sun.
How much nutrients would the milk actually help?
It's very beneficial.
Some of us, the reason why I say this, some
I-
of us are allergic to dairy.
Very.
So
Then
I'm
you
not,
can-
I
then you
can't,
can replace it in it with like other kind of milk-ish substance. The only thing is that these substances will have a lack of if you're lactose intolerant, they'll just take the lactate out of milk and replace it with almond milk or this milk or that milk,
Soy
or
milk.
blah blah blah. My dissertation was on rickets. Rickets is obviously a vitamin D deficiency. Got to do with bone in it. So other options is, for example, staying out in the sun. But we live in a world where infrastructure is now key. So you have big buildings, houses. Most people stay in their houses. Blah blah blah. So it's not really. You can't really say that you want to. I'm going to stay outside for ages because you're really not. Because most things is done at home. You don't have a computer outside, do you? That's your work.
Would you say that's to do with infrastructure, or would you say that's to do with culture and society? Because in this country we don't get any sun, but I know with someone who would have the exact same job as me in a different country like Pakistan or somewhere in Africa where there's more sun, there's more vitamin D, they would be outside and making time to go outside and soak up the sun.
I think it's a mixture of both because I also had to put culture in it, but you need to understand you can't say culture like that because, again,
Okay, maybe not culture, but weather environment maybe.
Okay, then weather. See, the thing with weather, it's now its own. It's like under geographical factors.
Yeah.
It's now its own factor. Culture. You're right about culture because back then in let's say 1500 or whatever, the cases of vitamin D deficiency wouldn't have been so high because these guys were probably actively drinking, would have been actively drinking milk straight from the cow, blah blah blah. Then they would have been working jobs that were like on the field. Because back then you didn't have jobs like working in the computer. They didn't even know what electricity was back then, you get me?
Yeah.
They didn't have infrastructures like big houses and all of that. So they would have absorbed a lot of sun when sun was there.
Yeah.
Because I can't really speak on the geographical climate back then because who knows what it would have been like. But I'm guessing it would have been a lot of sun, a lot of working in the field. So they would have been exposed to a lot of sunlight, blah blah blah. But then over the times came 19th century, 18th century, there was industrialization, big buildings started to be made. Smoke in London was a major part in vitamin D deficiency, to the point where, funny enough, Florence Nightingale and a doctor, to treat vitamin D deficiency in kids, they built a kind of balcony where they put kids out in the sun. they put them in their hospital beds out in the sun, whenever there was sun, so that they could treat their vitamin D deficiency,
Check battery.
which is quite brazy, I think, quite very
It's quite low.
90, which is quite interesting. But like what you said, in Pakistan, I'm guessing things that have got to do with electricity or working on computers will be done inside. Of course, they'll be exposed to a lot of sun. They probably don't work. Cultural is very important as well, because they probably don't work like long hours. You get me? They probably wouldn't work long hours because due to culture. Whilst in the UK, the culture is, it is a culture. You work 9 to 5, or if you're a NHS worker, you work 12 hours or something like that. And then if you go home, most people kind of don't spend time with their family. They'll go straight to sleep in the house.
Yeah.
Whilst probably in Pakistan, due to certain cultures, you will stay with your family.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
understand? You have to stay with your family because as a man, I'm talking from a male point of view. Said that where I said something wrong? Yeah,
No, you haven't.
I'm talking as a male point of view. You spend time with your family to teach them certain cultures.
Yeah.
Whilst here in the UK, you don't really do that anymore. It would have been like that in the past, but it's not like that anymore because you're too shattered. You're too tired to sit with your family. You go to. I'm talking from experience. My mum and dad sometimes. And also as a child, you come back from school. You won't see your parents because they're asleep getting ready for a night's work.
Yeah.
You see them for like 30 minutes before they're going because you made coffee for them. They're getting prepared to go.
Aww.
Now they are gone. It's now you alone in the house. You wake up in the morning to get school because school starts early here. They probably haven't come back yet because they're traveling. You go to school on your own. They come back home. By the time you come back, they are asleep again, ready for another nights of work or days of work or something. So, you know, vitamin D, all of that, you know, being at home, being in infrastructure, blah, 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 it all plays. All of that. Now we lost topic of the question. What, you know, I've taught you something.
So, because like one thing I do notice when I am in Pakistan visiting family is that even if people do work 9 to 5, because of the different climate there,